So I just wanted to do a quick video here in the Goat Rock Forest Garden. It's the middle of June, almost the summer solstice, longest days of the year. And it's been really rainy and somewhat chilly recently, kind of in the 40s, 50s, low 60s degrees Fahrenheit. And, we've been getting a lot of rain and not a lot of sunshine, a lot of clouds. But the plants here in the forest garden are really appreciating all this moisture, and a lot of things are just going off, and we're finally getting to kind of see which plants really survived the winter, which ones did not survive. And there's a couple interesting observations here. So last year we transplanted these 3 black locust plants, kind of small tree size, into this 7-year-old hugelkultur, and 2 of them have survived clearly, while the 3rd one seems to have died, which is kind of surprising to me. But that was the smallest, kind of weakest, skinniest one, and it didn't do a whole lot last summer. And I guess, I don't know if it was the cold that killed it, or, if it just didn't make it for some other reason. So that's one plant, and, it's not too much of a bummer because it was just transplanted from elsewhere on the property. It didn't cost us anything. And, I don't think I'm really going to replace it anytime soon. We have those 2, and might try something different here. But we've got these plums, these pears and cherries, which are starting to leaf out here now on this side of the hugel. There's a hawthorn right there, lots of elderberry and currants. So the hugelkultur is doing great. We're still kind of in the process of really trying to establish more woody perennials, shrubs, trees, and it's more of a perennial ground cover. And then if we head over here to this kind of different zone of the forest garden, where our swales are, we kind of finished off this swale that needed to be adjusted over here, and there's big black locust there in the middle of it, a pear, a buartnut. Our other buartnut seems to have died over here. It's like right there, but I'll keep an eye on it. If there's any signs of life, then I'll do my best to keep it going. But the other one looks fine. And let's see, we have this pear tree here, which looks like it's gonna make quite a crop this year, hopefully, although I'm already starting to see some of the damage from some sort of insect, which is not a good sign. I saw some of that last year, and the fruits ended up not really developing and kind of dropping off. So we'll see what happens. And then in this swale here, let's see, we have our beach plums, which are doing good, and I'm not sure if we're gonna get any fruit. They did flower, but I don't really see any fruits developing, but I'll keep checking. And then here is an alderman plum, and unfortunately it looks like that kind of died back to the ground and is re-sprouting. So we'll try to help that one out. Here's another hawthorn. Here's a Joel bush cherry and some haskaps. And this is some kind of walnut that someone planted years ago. And that kind of died back a little bit too. So I don't know, I'm gonna try and keep those ones going. And then here's our apricot trees. Here's a solstahome apple tree, which looks like it's doing great. And some hazelnut. Got quite a few hazelnut shrubs scattered around. And then here's our apricot. These flowered profusely, and I'm pretty sure I saw some fruits developing on here. So I don't know, keep an eye on that. I've never seen any, mature ripe fruits on these apricots yet, but they're definitely getting to that size, and they're growing pretty good. There's some kind of weevil that is kind of doing some damage, and then later in the summer, inevitably, there's going to be Japanese beetles all over these. But it looks like they're putting on a lot of growth at this time of year, so that's good. And up here we've got our apple tree looking great. This one did not flower, and I don't think there's any action on that other than just vegetative growth, which is fine for now. And I think this is another apple or pear. Same deal. It's just gonna be vegetative this year. So there's all kinds of things going on in that zone. And then if we come in here into this kind of woodland rock garden area where we did a lot of clearing, it was really dense with a lot of black cherry and some other species, which, just needed to be kind of thinned, opened up so that some of our trees can grow. Here's another plum, which is doing okay. It's getting a lot more light now, so hopefully that means it'll, start to grow a little taller. And then this is like a hugel dead hedge swale thing, roughly on contour. All those branches and logs from the trees that we cleared in this area were piled up there, and then all the chunks from the composting, like all the bones and rinds and pits and everything, got piled on top, and that's kind of already starting to become covered in vegetation. I planted some things in here, some brown-eyed Susan, some native plants, some hollyhocks. There's elder on the other side, so that's pretty exciting. And I like how this area is more opened up with more grasses, sedges, herbaceous plants. So we're gonna keep it kind of wild in here. And then here's like kind of the continuation of this hugel over this rock. And on the south side of this rock, we have this plum, which died back to the ground. Well, it died back to this lower branch, probably because it was so cold. I don't know exactly why, but. And then if we make our way over here, we have this Shipova, which is the pear mountain ash hybrid. And it did not flower, but it looks healthy to me, So it's getting a lot more light after we opened up this area, a lot more resources. So I'm excited to, help that one grow. And then over here we have another plum. This is a black ice plum, which also died back, but is still alive. I think I need to give it a little bit more attention, a little bit more, sheet mulch, compost, manure, and, some love. And then over here in kind of the zone 1 area of the forest garden, things are just exploding, and we've planted a lot more stuff, a lot more seaberry, and I'm propagating a lot more. Here's a plum that's doing pretty good. There's a couple plums and apples over here, and some seaberry. I think there's going to be a big crop of seaberry this year. We didn't do very much pruning, and the berries develop on the second year growth. So excited for that. Oh, and then here's a Bali cherry, which looks like it's gonna have some fruit this year, possibly. Let me see if I can find where those. Wasn't a bunch of them, but there were some small fruits developing on here. Here, let's see. Here's some flowers. Anyway, this is kind of one thing I'm keeping an eye on, because a lot of these trees are now, you know, approaching probably about 10 years old. They were planted, you know, 6-7 years ago. This is another plum. And so it's about time for a lot of them to start producing fruit. And, you know, it'll be exciting to start to get some fruits, some, you know, varieties that we haven't gotten yet. And then over here is kind of one of the bummers. This is a Nanking cherry, which I don't really know what is going on with this thing, but you know, it was going strong last year, looked great. I gave it some compost, manure, you know, fertilized it. This year, you know, we've had these crazy swings, like up and down, warm, cold, wet, and you know, I think possibly it got faked out, like it started to leaf out during some warm weather, and then we went back to cold, and I don't know, it looks weird. A lot of it is dead, but then there's still some alive. I don't know, some green leaves kind of attempting to open up. But then there's these branches down here sprouting from the base, which look great. So it's still alive. There's still hope. But we may have lost this whole upper part of it, which is a bummer. But we'll just keep trying, and that's all right. Let's see, the oaks are starting to open up, starting to leaf out, and so that's going to be good. And our haskaps, our edible honeysuckles, are developing fruit, which should be ripe pretty soon. Let's see here. See, there's some little berries in there, and hopefully we'll be able to eat some of those before the birds get them, because they are delicious. And then over here, the pond is looking beautiful. All of our serviceberries are ripening. But yeah, the pond is looking really good. All kinds of frogs, tadpoles, you know, tons of aquatic insects and all kinds of wildlife visiting this pond, which is great. And over here we have got one of our hazelnuts, which I think it's also going to be a good year for hazelnuts. You can see a lot of these clusters are developing, so that's good. And here is a high bush cranberry, which is a kind of viburnum. It's not actually a cranberry. But, you know, this is mainly like a wildlife support thing. I think it's technically edible, but, you know, not that great flavor or anything. But, you know, it's just a gorgeous plant. All kinds of insects all over it. And then we got this kind of rhubarb understory developing. And some chives. Another hazelnut. These are some quaking aspen or poplars. So I'll try and keep it short. There's kind of a lot. I'm gonna have to make some more videos, but I just wanted to kind of walk around, do a quick tour. Over here we got a lot of native pollinator, you know, herbaceous type of plants. A lot of pycnanthemums, mountain mints. You know, it's gonna be a nice pollinator patch. Some bee balm, some milkweed. And then we kind of developed this area a little bit more to be just a big patch of milkweed and flowers and tall grass. You know, really great habitat for butterflies. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'll wrap it up, but I'll definitely make some more videos coming soon. But I just wanted to keep everyone in the loop. Show off the forest garden because it's pretty much absolutely gorgeous in here. all kinds of amazing things happening. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Have a good one.